Armed with machine guns and $70 million in American aid, Peruvian security officials are on a quest to tackle the resurgence of an all-too-familiar foe that was thriving here 20 years ago. But the hunt isn't for a person or a place. It's actually for a plant. Coca.
Why can't you leave a little bit of coca? Why can't you leave a little piece for us? To barter for potatoes, for wheat, for beans, and other things? What do you expect us to eat? Now what are we left with?
This is Simon Romero reporting from Tingo Maria, Peru, a vibrant town on the Andes' eastern slope. Coca has been cultivated in surrounding valleys for thousands of years. Some coca is still grown and sold legally as a stimulant in Peru, where it is chewed or sipped in a tea. But most cultivation of coca, the raw ingredient for cocaine, is illegal. And Peru's government, with the help of the United States, eradicated huge amounts of the plant in the 1990s. That helped shift coca production en masse north to Colombia. But now, after intensive American-funded eradication efforts there, production is shifting back, and Peru is on its way to surpass Colombia and reclaim its title as the world's largest exporter of cocaine. This migration of coca cultivation between remote corners of the Andes is one of the most vexing aspects of the long war on drugs and creates a huge dilemma.
Other products that they sometimes produce, like coffee or cacao, only yield once or twice a year. But coca is harvested 4 to 6 times a year, so it's like an ATM for the farmers.
Much of the money comes from Mexican and Colombian drug lords, eager to process Peruvian coca. Guerrillas from 2 small factions of the Shining Path are also feeding off the cocaine trade to fund their operations.
The farmers are dependent on the drug traffickers who give them money up front. They force them to continue planting. The farmer is also dependent on the terrorists, who extorts them in return for security. They also are dependent on the coca associations that organize the farmers and force them to commit acts of violence.
This reliance has complicated the American-funded war against drugs in Latin America. It also has created environmental concerns.
It affects the environment because they move to other lands and cut down the forest in order to establish their plantation. There has been more deforestation due to eradication than anything else.
The battle against coca here is also getting deadlier. Officials say these men on an eradication mission near Tingo Maria were ambushed and killed last month by Shining Path fighters. But despite the danger, eradication teams continue to cut down coca, often by hand. Many believe the risk is worth it.
I do this job to help make Peru a good place, so that there's no more abuse, no more exploitation.
We want a Peru without drugs. There's too much corruption, and
we want to help Peru.
Peruvian and U.S. officials say they provide incentives to wean farmers away from coca so they can plant manioc or cacao. But many farmers say they will never stop growing coca as long as demand for cocaine, far from the remote jungles of Peru, remains robust.
I'm asking you, why are you eradicating coca? Those of us who cultivate coca are not at fault. It is not our fault, but rather the fault of those who consume drugs.